Well, hello everyone. Welcome to 4J Music. We've had some terrible weather, icy road conditions. So that means I haven't had to go to work, no school today, or maybe tomorrow. Who knows? So that means you win. You get more content, and that's why I'm here today. And I'm really excited about making this particular video because this is one of those rare videos that kind of transcends both the worship side of things and the band side of things. I know I have a lot of band director friends that maybe hopefully you've been getting something out of those videos when I do band related topics. And I have some friends that are more into the worship side of things. And so this video right here hopefully will kind of cover a little bit of both. And so the reason is because we're talking about buzz rolls or press rolls. They're also known as that, and multiple bounce rolls. There's a lot of different names for them. But really, what I notice on the worship side of things, when I listen to CCLM music, contemporary Christian music, lately it's kind of become more artistic. And I noticed the drummers that are, playing in some of the more predominant bands are, trying to tap into some of the more customary effects that we have that we use every day in concert band, like rolls and buzz rolls and stuff like that. And so, I know that there's a few songs that I can think of off the top of my head where there are buzz rolls and whatnot. So, if you are trying to develop your buzz roll, whether it's for your concert band, or maybe you're trying to teach it, or look for ways to improve on it, or maybe you're playing drum set in at your church, I hope this video is something that you can take something out of. Okay. Now I want to make sure that we that I start off by saying a couple of qualifiers. Number one, the things that I'm going to teach today on this video are things that I've used in my teaching. There are a lot of different schools of thought, and there might be some people that are watching this and they're like, oh, I would never teach my kids to do that. And I can see why. I can see a lot of different ways of skinning a cat. I don't know why people would ever skin a cat, but the whole thing is that this has worked for me, and I've had some really outstanding players come through some of the bands that I've taught, and they've been able to make it work with this particular methodology. So I know there are other schools of thought, and you may disagree on some of this, but I want to make sure that I put that out there. The second thing is that if you are a beginner drummer, whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's drum set or learning how to play in band, this is not step one. Okay, and I can see some parent, oh, let's see what Jesus has got to show you. Go ahead and put on the video, and you've got this kid that just is barely unwrapping his practice pad for the first time and drumsticks for the first time. This is not step one. This is more like step 84 or something. So save this for later on. But I want to make sure that we're starting from a point where we're all doing the same thing with our hands. And so when we pick up the drumsticks, we're going to make sure that we have, we're gripping the stick, and we set up a fulcrum about maybe a third of the way up from the back. Or the butt end, that's the actual name, and we have maybe an inch or 2 inches, depending on the size of your hand, on the back end. Okay, and so we want to make sure that our thumb and our pointer are even, and so you don't want any hitchhikers, as you're playing drums or anything like that. And so I've seen a lot of different things like that. It's going to be really hard to get a good buzz roll or do anything, for that matter, on drums effectively that way. So once you get your hands and you're mirroring the same thing with your left hand here, you want to make sure you get your nice little 90-degree angle here. Okay. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is actually a double bounce roll. This is not a buzz roll. Let me show you what that sounds like so you can hear the difference. Okay. So this is a double stroke roll right here. That means that every time my, whether I'm using wrist or arm or whatever, the stroke comes down, I'm actually getting 2 notes per stroke, okay? Hence the name double stroke roll. When I play a press roll, a buzz roll, I'm actually getting more, notes or, more hits of the drum, if you will, of the surface, with the stick because of how I'm playing it. So let me show you what that sounds like. It's been like 20 years since I played a real, actual, buzz roll. So hopefully it's a decent one. We'll see what I can do after 20 years in college, not playing in college. Okay, So not bad after a long time of not playing it, not practicing it in depth. But anyways, hopefully you can hear the difference. Okay, now I want to make sure I'm clear on this right here. This is how I teach my students, and you may have a teacher that does something differently, whatever. But what has worked for me is whenever I have students play the first roll, which is the double stroke roll, as they're holding the sticks, I usually have them close this gap right here between their thumb and their pointer, okay? And a lot of the videos that I've watched of really, really talented musicians and drummers and drum set players that are teaching buzz stroke rolls, they kind of, you know, they have a lot of wonderful information, but they neglect what's going on and what each finger should be doing, okay? And I want to tell you that as you're playing the double stroke roll, a lot of it does depend on speed, you know, and a lot of different other factors or whatever, but generally speaking, you'll have that gap right there closed, and the back fingers are doing some heavy lifting and back there and doing some work, especially for the second stroke, okay? All right, and so that's not this video, that's not what I'm going to talk about, but when it comes to the buzz roll, I'm going to make sure that I have that gap right there a little bit more opened. And I'm going to, you know, a lot of the buzz quality is going to rely on the amount of pressure between my thumb and my pointer, okay? And the other thing is this, is that I'm going to also use more arm. And again, this is also would depend on velocity and the speed and volume of the song that you're playing in. But generally speaking, you know, you'll want to get a little bit more arm action, okay? Which is kind of like the cardinal sin in the beginning band. I teach my kids to really use more of the wrist stroke because I don't want them to come and start playing like my daughter Gabriella, who's 2. She will start playing like this, and you know, when you go to UIL, that's an automatic 4 if your drummers are playing that loud, okay? So you want to develop more of a wrist stroke and a lighter touch. But for the buzz roll, you do want there to be more of an arm movement, okay? Now, so I talked a little bit about the pressure here on between the thumb and the forefinger. And so what that's going to do is either if you're putting a lot of pressure between the thumb and the pointer, you're going to get this type of more choked off buzz, okay? Now, the other thing I want to tell you is that towards the back of my hand, these fingers are not necessarily actually touching the drumstick, okay? If I were to be gripping the drumstick, even if I had this opening here, okay, a lot of the finesse, you know, aspect of playing a buzz roll would be choked off by the back fingers. So you also have to worry about the back fingers not having contact with the drumstick, okay? So that's another aspect of it, and sometimes people forget to talk about the back fingers there, but so again, going back to the pressure between the thumb and the pointer, if you were to be a little bit more loosey-goosey with that and not have a whole lot of pressure there, and the stick's kind of more flopping there, this is the kind of buzz that you would get. Minus the third one there that hit the rim, but you see the difference there, right? Okay, and obviously again the amount of pressure that I put down with my arm is going to affect it as well, and so you want to make sure that you develop good buzzes with both hands, okay? I know the majority of my students that I teach are right-handed, as the majority of the people in the world are, and so, you know, a lot of times the buzz sounds very lopsided, and the right hand sounds amazing, but the left hand sounds not very good, okay? And so you get this like flat tire sounding thing where, you know, the left hand is hardly getting any buzzes, and there's no duration, there's no length, and it's hard to really develop a smooth buzz without any like a pulsation or any gaps, okay? You want to try to get rid of any pulses or gaps in the buzz roll, right? So, or at least in the ideal buzz roll, right? So, in order to get rid of those, you really want to make sure you develop a good buzz on both hands so that they can start to overlap, okay? And so early on, as you're doing that, this is what I would recommend. We're going to play 4 quarter notes and then 4 buzzes, okay? 4 quarter notes with buzzes on them. And I'm going to start at a really slow tempo so we can get an opportunity to really isolate each one, okay? So this is 70 beats per minute. We're going to go tap, tap, tap. Now the buzzes. Repeat. Okay, and you continue to do that over a period of time. You want to make sure that your buzzes are even back and forth and everything. And there's definitely some things that I can do to improve even what I just did there. But and then you start speeding it up, and over time you get to the point where you're playing, instead of at 70 beats per minute, instead of playing quarter notes, you're playing eighth notes. Okay, and that's what this would sound like here. And 1, 2, 2, ready and go. Okay, and you continue to speed that up, and maybe you get that to the point where you know what, eighth notes aren't doing it anymore. I got to be able to go to 16 notes, and it would actually speed up to like this, and 1E and a 2E and a ready and go. Okay, cool. Now, once we get to that point, you may start being able to actually play a buzz roll, with whether it's in church or on a certain song, and that's where you have to start thinking about your primary stroke pattern, or your what I call your skeleton pattern, right? If I'm playing a song at 70 beats per minute and I have a whole note roll, okay, that I need to fill in for whatever song I'm doing, okay, 16 notes might be a little bit too choppy, okay, so I might actually want to do sixlets, okay, or 24th notes, however you want to call them, which would be triplet, 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 triplet tap, okay, and so let me show you what that sounds like. Ready and go. Okay, and I was kind of semi-pulsing that a little bit so you can feel that, but eventually you want to take that pulse out so you hear just a smooth, carpet of sound, right? And so, at that tempo, that's what your skeleton pattern or primary stroke pattern would want to, look like. As you go faster, let's say you're playing a roll at 120 beats per minute, well, maybe you'd want to go to 16 notes, because you don't need to really fill in as much space between beats, right? So that's really the next step, is once you get the buzzes connected, they're overlapping and they're smooth and they're even, and you can play them, well with your left hand and your right hand, then you want to develop that kind of, I guess, feel for what the skeleton pattern should be, right? And you may have rolls of different lengths. So whatever that ends up being, okay, let's say you have a dotted figure roll, then you want to write out the skeleton pattern so you know what your hands are doing, and then you can add the buzzes in there, right? And so that'll help you be precise with the roll. And a lot of times what I notice is students, because they're indecisive about what the primary stroke pattern or skeleton pattern should be, that ends up making the roll sound kind of scuzzy. And halfway in the middle of the roll, they're like, wait a minute, maybe I should be rolling faster, and they change the subdivision in the middle of the roll, and then they lose where they are. So just be really careful. Try to be proactive about that, whether you're doing that as a director or helping your students decide, hey, maybe at this tempo, let's go ahead and do this type of roll, right? So anyway, I think that's about everything I wanted to cover in this particular video, and that's about maybe 13 minutes long. That's a really, really quick crash course in buzz rolls, and you should really spend a lot more time than just what I did to show you, okay? To show you how to get going on those. So anyway, I hope this is beneficial, and again, please leave a comment if maybe you found a different way to improve your rolls, or hopefully if this has been helpful to you. If you have any more questions, please leave a comment, and I hope this has been helpful for you guys. Thank you so much.